It's a real privilege to be able to welcome Dr. Peter Jones and his wife Rebecca here to be with us today. I wonder, would you introduce yourselves to everyone watching on the live stream? That'd be great.
Okay. Actually, I'm a Liverpool lad. I was raised in Liverpool and actually went to the States in my 60s, when I was, in the 1960s, to study in the States, which I did. And when I finally got all my degrees together, I was invited to go and preach and teach in the John Calvin Institute in Aix-en-Provence in France, which I did for 18 years, honey? And it's fun to actually speak in or teach in French. You learn that well, you know.
I bet you do.
Anyway, then I was invited to return to the States. What date was that? 1991, and go and teach at Westminster Theological Seminary in Escondido, California. I was teaching actually as a New Testament scholar at the time, scholar. Well, that's what they called me anyway. And so that was my specialty, was New Testament. And then finally, after how many years was it with the teaching? 12 years. By the way, the one I'm turning to is my dear wife, Rebecca, and I'll let her say something in a moment. Yeah. I decided that I was reading a lot and seeing about what was happening in the culture and going all over the place speaking about it. And so I decided I wanted to give myself entirely to that.
Right.
So, as I say, I bungee jumped out of the seminary window, but I was on the ground floor, so that was okay. And began to do that. And I didn't realize what I was doing, but I was actually developing what's called cultural apologetics, which I think is extremely important. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And over a few years, I had a board come around me, and they founded the ministry that I didn't know I was founding, which they called, and we called Truth Exchange. TruthXChange.com will get you on the website.
Right.
So I've been doing that now for how many years, hon?
20.
20 years. That's right, it's our 20th anniversary. We never thought we'd get this far, actually. But the Lord has really blessed us, and many people love what we do and write to us and tell us and say, please keep going. And so we do. And so the ministry is Truth Exchange. And if the folks watching and listening want to go on the website, you can see the many things that I have written, including my books. So who's this lady next to me?
My name is Rebecca Jones, and I grew up in a Christian home and have known the Lord Jesus for as long as I can remember. So don't let anybody tell you that you have to have a special time. Anyway, when we have 7 children, so 2 were born in England, and all the other 5 were born in France.
And one's name is Tessa.
Yes, one is very famous here, Tessa. So the Lord has blessed us in many, many ways, and I do some work for Truth Exchange now, take care of all kinds of things behind the scenes, and it's just been a wonderful blessing. The Lord's been very good to us.
Great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you. Peter, one of your central ideas of Truth Exchange is that when you returned from France to America, you realized that American culture had changed significantly. I wonder if you could just share, in summary, just what that observation was.
Well, I always say when I went to the States, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. America was so Christian. And slowly, though, that was in 64. When we left in 73, and went to France, we sort of cut ourselves off from what was happening in America. Actually, what was happening in America, which I knew was happening, was the Cultural Revolution, but I didn't know its impact. But when we came back to America in 1991, I saw that the culture was changing radically. And it was being changed by the infusion of Eastern spirituality. And I began to ask myself, how do I address Eastern spirituality? And I looked at a text that I always read, and everybody knows, which is Romans 1:25, which actually speaks of two ways of being spiritual, and only two. You can either worship the creation or you worship the Creator. And America is a very spiritual place, and it began to more and more worship the creation in all kinds of ways, including worshiping itself, and people worshiping themselves as divine. And I described those two ways of spirituality as oneism and twoism. Oneism, that there is no reality but what we see, and there are no basic distinctions. Or twoism, that there is a massive distinction between the Creator and creatures. And that's the essence of the Christian faith. Now, oneism and twoism is an odd way of speaking. Since then, in the past few years, actually, the culture has kindly created a whole new way of talking about this without realizing it when they speak about the binary and the non-binary.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same thing, so I tend to use that as well.
That's exactly it, which of course makes it incredibly contemporary. If you want to learn more about that, check out Truth Exchange, but the service is just about to restart, so I'll join you very soon. Thank you.